Hello and welcome to a new video, and thank you for joining me here today. Today's topic is the Champions of Contagion detachment rule, which offers a lot of flexibility to switch between the three additional contagion choices we get from the Nurgle's Gift Death Guard army rule. And we're going to be looking at key sort of situations when you want to be using one over the other, or hopefully with the additional bonuses from the detachment, how we can potentially get all three up at once. So in this video, we'll take a quick overview of the army rule and the detachment rule, and then we'll have a look at the support that we get from the detachment with the enhancements and the stratagems. And then once we've got an idea of what the detachment are capable of, we can take a look at the tabletop and see how we can utilize these on the game, and the flexibility that the switching each battle round for the contagion that we have, if we don't have numerous up at that point, how you can utilize them in key situations. So do stick around for that. I'd just like to quickly say thank you to all the support that we've had so far on the channel, growing steadily, and really appreciate all the comments and the likes and subscribes. So if you are enjoying this new sort of in-depth content, please do let me know, and we'll move on to the rest of the video. But thank you all very much. Okay, so Nurgle's Gift is an aura, and it is an increasing size. So it starts off in battle round 1 at 3 inches, goes to 6 inches in battle round 2, and 9 inches in battle round 3. And it states that there's the afflicted keyword, and during the battle, declare battle formation step. So that is the point before a battle when you are saying which units are in deep strike or which are in transports, which characters are attached to who. It's at this point you are locked in with your choice of the additional plagues below. So until the end of the battle, while an enemy unit is afflicted, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristics of models in that unit, and that unit has the effect of the chosen plague. So here we have the Skullsquirm Blight, and this is the horrifying affliction that sees the minds and senses of victims gnawed gradually away from within. And as we know it more commonly, it's -1 to hit. So any unit that is within your contagion range, for either melee or shooting, it's -1 to hit. Next up, we've got the Rattlejoint Ague, and this is limbs shuddering with a fever palsy, bones turn brittle as glass, and these warriors can barely act to defend themselves. And this is probably the most common Death Guard contagion to take, and it's worse than the save characteristics of models in this unit by 1. So a lot of people seem to just say that it's +1 AP, but it's a lot more than that. In certain instances, when the defending unit has a -1 to has a 2-up save, the -1 save characteristic change actually means that they can't get back to that 2-up save because of cover. If you had any AP0 shooting, or they did AOC or something like that on an AP1, they would have been able to get back to the 2-up save, but you are worsening the actual save characteristic of the unit, and cover doesn't allow you to go from a 3 to a 2 unless you were naturally a 2. So it's a key distinction there. It does come up every now and again, but -1 save is sort of universally the Death Guard taken contagion. In certain matchups, it's not relevant, mainly demons because they have all invulns, but most of the time, if you see Death Guard being played, it's probably with the -1 save contagion. And last and often seen least, we have the Scabrous Soulrot, and this is victims of the insidious ailment become glassy-eyed and morose as their very animus and essence decay. Worsen the move, leadership, and objective control characteristics of models in this unit by 1. This rule can only worsen a model's objective characteristic to a minimum of 1. So here we have something that's affecting 3 baseline characteristics of a model. The move is often great for us because we are slow once we've engaged, so if they tend to fall back or whatever that is, just if you're affecting a large area of move, it's just slightly less compared to what the opponent would be hoping for. The leadership does come up because we have other ways for this to sort of stack. If you think of the Death Shroud's chimes, we can give someone -2 leadership, which is it's quite niche, but it can come up. It's hilarious against CSM when they're trying to do dark packs all the time. And then, yeah, objective control characteristic is probably the main reason why you take this contagion. Making something that is OC2, OC1 is fantastic for us because a lot of the models that we play with are reasonable OC. You've got obviously the drones are OC3, and the Plague Marines if you are in the Plague Marine brick, they're OC2. And one of the ways that I found the Death Guard army can struggle is against sort of the primary denial list, because they can just keep throwing things out, and if they can keep fighting us back, we can't then engage with them on their terms. They can just keep on move blocking you and going, oh cool, I'll stop you scoring primary here. But if you can make them have to put double what they need to do that, it's a way that you can fight those type of army lists. And yeah, it's just something that a lot of the community doesn't seem to value, and I completely understand why. -1 to save is just an insane rule, but because of the detachment rule, which we'll move on to next, you aren't locked into just one, and that is where we need to really utilize all three, because if we can utilize all three, we have three incredible rules as one. So the next question is, what makes Champions of Contagion detachment rule so powerful? So we've got the Manifold Maladies, and it's at the start of the battle round. You can select one of the plagues listed in Nurgle's gift. Until the end of the battle, that is your chosen plague instead of any previously chosen plague. So what that means is, at the start of each battle round, just pick one of the other three plagues if you want to. You're not forced to. You can just stick with what you had. And I have had games in the past where I've just gone, yep, I'm always going to be -1 to hit, or I'm always going to be -1 save. And there were powerful things in your detachment, which means that is a perfectly sort of accepted strategy with this detachment. However, there are games late on where you want to stop the opponent moving that a little bit further, or you want to say, cool, if you're trying to deny me OC in turn 4 or turn 5, I can switch this on, and it means that I will not need to expend as many resources over in one direction or whatever it is. So the ability to be flexible really suits a toolbox sort of playstyle, and if you can master the ability to switch at the right time if you need to, then this detachment becomes insanely powerful, because, as I say, the -1 to save on its own is phenomenal at wiping out a lot of things. That extra pip of AP, as it were, or bringing something up from a 2-up save to a 3-up save, so that they can't have the 2-up save. It's insanely good, and the -1 to hit can skew an attack from and come in things so that you live more than you should. But the third one is the ability to play the end part of the game, is what I generally see it as, and it's come up so much more often since we have the Codex. It's been the detachment I've been playing the most, and I really love the playstyle of it. So we're going to take a look at some parts of the detachment and see how we can utilize the detachment rule even more. So we've got here the enhancements, and there are two that I'd probably like to highlight. I think the other two aren't particularly great, and I've never really seen them taken, and I've had no sort of interest in taking them. But the main one that I think probably should be in every Champions of Contagion list, if you're running a PM brick, you should have a Biologist Putrefier in there, and if you have a Biologist Putrefier, I would spend the extra 20 points on this, because it is absolutely game warping. So this is a Biologist Putrefier only for the File and Ingredient enhancement. It says, once per battle, after the bearer's unit has fought, if one or more character models were destroyed as a result of those attacks, select one plague. Until the end of the battle, while an enemy unit is afflicted, that unit has the effect of the selected plague in addition to any other. So that means that as soon as you kill a character in melee with any attacks from the unit the Biologist Putrefier is attached to, which often is going to be the 10-man Plague Marine unit with the Plague Caster, so that you get the sustains as well. So it's a really potent unit to be trying to attack things like this. As soon as you kill a character with that unit, you instantly get the ability to select one of the plagues on top of your original selection. So, for example, you've gone -1 save contagion, and you've killed a character, and you know that you're going to be hit back from another unit elsewhere, or you're potentially going to get interrupted by something that's quite scary. As soon as you've killed that unit, you can say, okay, I now have -1 hit up. and it means that the rest of your army gets that -1 to hit as well. So for the sake of this 20-point investment, and obviously you still have to play to get this triggered with the melee attacks and killing the character, but you can have 2 of the Nurgle's gift abilities all going at once for the rest of the game, and it doesn't go off if the Biologist Putrefier gets killed or anything like that. As soon as you trigger it, once that unit's activation is done, of course, that's it. You have 2 of the plagues active army-wide, and it is so insanely powerful. If you can get this off early, you can get this off turn 1, yeah, you've probably won the game. If you can get this off turn 2, it's still quite game warping, as long as obviously the contagions are going to do something against the opponent. But even then, you've got 3 to choose from, and -1 move, leadership, and OC is probably always going to be useful, if not as useful as the -1 to save and -1 to hit. But having 2 up is just having 2 army rules effectively. So final ingredient for me is a must take, and if you're playing the Champions of Contagion, I don't see why you wouldn't be playing the Biologist Putrefier brick, because the support for it is just really powerful. So for me, final ingredient is a must take. So next up, we've got the Cornucophagus. This is an enhancement which only goes onto a Lords of Poxes model, and it says in the declare battle formation step, so at the same time as the army rule is going to be chosen, select 1 plague until the end of the battle. While an enemy unit is within contagion range of the bearer, so the Lord of Poxes specifically, the enemy unit has the effect of the plague in addition to any other. So this means that if the Lord of Poxes has chosen the -1 OC, and you start the game with -1 save, and you end up triggering the final ingredient to get the -1 to hit up as well, any model that of the opponent that is within the contagion range of the Lord of Poxes will be under the effect of all 3 contagions. And remember, the Lord of Poxes rule is to have an additional 3 inches on his contagion specifically. So by turn 3 onwards, he's going to be having a 12-inch aura of all contagions, which it's pretty crazy. I've done it a few times, and it, to be honest, if you get to that point, you've probably won the game anyway. But it's just a nice little tech piece. And I know in the community, people aren't really that hot on the Lord of Poxes. I really love him again as a toolbox piece. For me, he tends to be a rapid ingress threat with 5 Plague Marines. So because of that, you can utilize him. If you're bringing him on turn 3 with his extra 3 inches of contagion range, he can get something into contagion by coming on the board edge, because he will have a 12-inch range, and obviously you have to be 9 inches away. And his lone up ability keeps them sort of safe on that board edge as well. So having the Cornucophagus ability just means that I can say in a shooting matchup that I think it might go along, say against Carrion Tau, they're obviously going to be waiting until late on in the game to try and get that sustained hit ability. So if you have Cornucophagus with -1 to hit, and you're obviously tower fast enough that they'll be able to move out of your contagion range however they want. But if they're near a board edge, or not even near a board edge specifically, because 12 inches is quite a long way, especially when you can come on within 9 with the Lord of Poxes, they could be think, okay, I'm outside of the contagion range of everything that's currently on the board, and then you rapid ingress something, get them into contagion, and that -1 to hit means that they're probably going to miss a few more shots than they expected, and that can cascade through the rest of the army. And then on your next turn, because you're hopefully safe because of the 18-inch lone up, you can then make a reasonable charge into whatever that big scary thing was, say a Riptide or a Hammerhead, and take advantage of the normal army rule, which would be the -1 save, and then you've utilized the tech piece of the Cornucophagus in a way that probably has been very, very beneficial for you. The other side of it is take the -1 OC on there and bring him on late game, and then run him on the against their home field or their natural expansion. And even if you do have 11 OC in the unit from the 5 Plague Marines in him, you can then just charge on, and even if you don't kill as much as you hoped, they're all -1 OC anyway, and you probably outseeing them on their point, and got a nice little primary switch on the go there. So Cornucophagus, I think, is a bit more of a tech piece compared to the final ingredient, but I have found it to be incredibly useful at pushing a point with the Lord of Pots's model, and just allowing that extra bit of flexibility on the choice for the battle round. Because if I know he's coming in at the end of their movement, or if I'm risking bringing him on for a 9-inch charge on mine, but again you've got probably the +3 inch, then it's something that you can plan ahead with, because you know I'm going to have this contagion in this point, which is very valuable. And let's take a look at the stratagems. So this is the Death's Head, and this is a pretty niche stratagem. I can't remember the last time I've used it, but there will be scenarios where it is useful. So it says, when in your shooting phase and the target is a biologist putrefier unit that is not within engagement range of one or more enemies that has not been selected to shoot this phase. So similar to the grenade stratagem sort of target, and then select the effect is that you select one enemy unit, excluding vehicles, that is within 8 inches and visible to your unit until the start of your next turn. This unit has the effect of all plagues. So it's kind of strange, this one, because it doesn't say it's afflicted. So if any of your abilities trigger on being afflicted, for example, the Death Shroud landing, that wouldn't be the case if they're not within your contagion range. This doesn't afflict the target. It just says that all 3 of the Nurgle's Gift plagues are effective on the unit that you targeted. So it can be useful if you've got a big unit that's like quite good at melee. You want to reduce their ability to hit by -1, and they're quite quick and got a good OC. You can do it, but I often find that it's not something that I'm wanting to spend the CP on. Most of the time I want to have the Crit 5 stratagem to be able to really make sure that and confirm a kill, or have the obviously a CP in the back pocket just in case you fail a charge, and then have something that on the defensive mind of the +2 toughness to maybe keep something sticking around a bit longer than it should. So Death's Head, it has its uses. I've just not found a particular use case for it yet. And if someone has, then let me know, because I forget about this. Whenever you do the pre-game talk with the opponent, it's always the one I forget, because it just never comes up in the game for me. So now that we've got all the tools in our toolbox from the detachment, we've got to figure out how we can actually utilize them. So the first decision point is obviously what's happened in deployment. How exposed are you? Have you gone risky? Have you gone safe? If they go first, how are you going to interact with them? If you go second, are they going to push out to the point where you're going to want to make sure you kill something? And that is the first decision point. So because of the detachment rule happens at the start of each battle round, you will know whether you're going first or second. So if I'm going second, I'm probably going to be taking -1 to hit. I will probably, obviously map dependent, I will have infiltrated some Potswalkers out in certain positions and have the spawns ready to support them. I talk about this in the UKTC deployment series that I did. Please check out that if you want to have a bit more in depth on how I sort of pair the Potswalkers with the spawns to reinforce flanks. But if I think that I'm going to get, they're going to get rushed and I want them to potentially survive, -1 to hit is obviously great there. Most people tend to play sort of a cagey play style, so taking -1 to save, it's probably not going to benefit you too much, because they're only going to send out as many resources as they think they'll need to kill the Potswalkers and spawns potentially. So if they're only trickling out a few things, you're not going to want to commit anything big to lose the trading game there effectively, because if you send out your Plague Marines to kill a couple of guys that have killed some Potswalkers, then that's probably a bad trade for you. So -1 to hit in this instance -1 to hit tends to be my go-to for the start. It allows me to sort of figure out the pace of the game Try and be a bit sticky in the middle points with my infiltrates and the potswalkers. And if they survive there, then spreading the contagion deeper into their lines. If you go first, that's fine. You've just sort of reinforced your position. You've not lost anything. You can stage knowing that on the next turn you've got a 6-inch contagion range, and you can push. And with your push and you're switching to -1 to save going into that turn, you've pre-planned everything to know, right, well, they're not going to be able to stage too far back because they're going to want to interact with you, especially if you've scored a couple of points on the secondaries turn 1. They're not going to want to have fallen behind turn 2 by missing out on positional or objective-based secondaries. So they're going to have to come out. So if your potswalkers live round 1 because of the -1 to hit, and then you switch to the -1 save, those potswalkers' jobs are either move block or try and get the -1 save as deep into their ranks as they can. And that's also true about the spawn, which is why they tend to be paired up. The spawn can generally go a bit further than the potswalkers can. So if they are running out from behind the mid staging points into the depths of your opponent's army with the 8 or 5-inch move, potentially in advance, you are activating your Death Shroud drop as well, which means that you can attack the opponent from multiple angles, which means that they are going to be in a bit of a disarray. They don't know which one to target. So it's kind of like a pressure play. If you can set up the stage mid-board, survive when you maybe shouldn't, because of the -1 to hit, and then hit them hard on turn 2 because you have the you can go, I know that this is my go turn, I'm going to switch to -1 save against something that is useful against, and then really put the pressure on and cause as much damage as you can. So moving on to the next point, this detachment is something that you sort of really want to be pre-planning your turn, especially when we're utilising tools such as Final Ingredient. You could make the wrong decision at the start of the turn. So, for example, if I know that I need to control 2 points in No Man's Land for Secure No Man's Land or Storm Hostile or whatever it is I need to do on my turn, but we know that this is the go turn, we have to connect and kill some of their resources. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how many things we've got in the middle of mid objectives, we're going to lose too much. So we need to reduce their ability to hurt us. Rather than going -1 OC in that point, and if we think we have a reasonable charge with the Biology Putrifier with Final Ingredient against a character unit, which we are reasonably confident we can kill, whether that be with strat support or just baseline, we take the -1 save, and then as soon as we triggered the Final Ingredient, we activate the -OC, which gives us the mid objectives that we need to be able to score the secondaries. And then not only are you scoring secondaries, you are then potentially denying them primary onto their turn. So the -1 OC Contagion is something that you can activate as part of a end of turn sort of with the Final Ingredient to solidify the midboard. But it's also something that is useful if you don't think you're going to be able to get that Final Ingredient play and you want to play another sort of turn of sort of staging and make it so that the opponent has to come out the next turn. You can go, cool, right, I've activated -1 OC at the start of the battle round because it will not only swing me the primary on a couple of points, and scoring primary early is obviously not a bad thing now that challenger cards are gone. So you could do that, and then that means by doing that you probably be able to chip away whatever is in the midboard, and it means whenever they send something out to OC you, if they get Storm or if they get Secure No Man's Land, they have to send a little bit more, which means that they're sending out more for you to then hit them on the next turn. So it's a bit of a sort of like a give and take. It's how aggressive do you want to get at the start of the turn to know that you'll end up with a result that you need to be able to activate the second Contagion with Final Ingredient, or do you want to play more of a passive game and go, cool, I'll just keep killing things off the midboard, and because of the -1 OC, I'm going to make it so that you have to commit more and more resources to score the points that you're going to need to score. So one other point I wanted to raise about the OC Contagion choice is it's a ability that's under your control. So what I mean by that is -1 to save is something that you know you are going to have when you connect, and you are in control of your movement phase before you do all of your attacks with your shooting and your obviously your charges and your melee. You are in control of where your contagion goes. -1 to hit is often seen as a bit of a negative choice because any army can realistically play around it by being 3.1, 6.1, 9.1 inches away from any one of your army and then blow up whatever they want anyway. Especially if you've got long range guns. If it's something like Eldar, if it's something like Tau, they're just be that little bit distance away from where you are, and they don't get the effect of the contagion against them. OC is one of those that, yes, you aren't pushing it against the opponent, but you can put it in the places where you know it is effective. A lot of the terrain layouts have the ability to sort of hide a couple of pieces or whatever it is behind a terrain piece and affect the objective. And specifically from Battle Round 3 onwards, where your contagion range is 9 inches, you should be able to hide a couple of models behind a terrain piece and affect the entire area of that objective marker. So it means that you are in control of your contagion because the opponent has to come onto the objective marker with more OC than they want to. They can obviously plan to try and kill you from there, but if you make a couple of saves that you probably shouldn't have, or if you end up with a model in the unit that's still alive and they don't want to charge it, or they've advanced to get onto the point so that they can't, that -1 OC can be very, very big because it means, again, as we said before, they might not score Storm Hostile, they might not score Secure No Man's Land. And it's just something to sort of remember. It's obviously, most people are still probably going to just choose -1 save because it's just that damn powerful. But being able to switch to it with the Champions of Contagion is a very, very valuable tool piece to have. And that's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed the sort of deep dive into the contagion abilities within the Champions of Contagion. Going to be putting a couple more videos up soon. Hopefully we've got another back rep up of the list that I've been practicing. I will be going to the Coventry Super Major, which is at the end of the month. So hopefully get a bit more practice in for that and see how we can perform at that event. If you are going, give me a shout, and if you see me there, say hello. I love meeting people out in the community. And yeah, if you have enjoyed this, please, as I mentioned earlier, give a like and subscribe, a comment down below, and everything does help. But yeah, I will see you all soon. Thanks for watching.